So I'm anxious to hear from our next speaker because I don't know how he's going to get 10 case studies in 5 minutes. But you know, we're going to improvise as we go here. Andi Mann is the Vice President for Strategic Solutions at CA Technologies with an extensive experience both at CA Technologies and as an industry analyst. He's been widely published in both industry and mainstream media, speaking often on topics such as cloud, virtualization, automation, and IT management, obviously issues that are extremely important to everybody in this audience. So with that, I'd like to bring up our next speaker, Andi Mann.
Okay, so I just had to finish tweeting there. Thank you. Yeah, definitely a social native. Thanks for everyone for joining us. Look, I'm going to talk today and bust a couple of myths that large organisations can't innovate and that we can't drive innovation from big enterprise. So, no time for an agenda. Let's get straight into it. Tesco is a major retailer internationally. Now in South Korea, they had an issue. They wanted to get to number 1, they were number 2, but they didn't have enough physical stores. Now in South Korea, consumers shop frequently, they shop locally. So what they were able to do was put up life-size posters of grocery store shelves in the subway with QR codes attached to every one of the products. So individuals, customers could come in on the way home from work, use their cell phones, scan the QR code, get product details, get pricing, buy the goods they needed for dinner that night, and they would be delivered to their home by the time they got there. You know, this was so successful for Tesco that it's now a permanent feature in South Korea, and they're installing it at London's Gatwick Airport. Large enterprise using new technology to drive innovation. Next up, British Airways. Now you probably know British Airways as one of the most high quality service airlines in the world, but a lot of competition in the world. And so they wanted to embark on a new modernisation program. So they gave out tablet devices to their aircrew in the cockpit and in the cabin. Now that meant the cabin crew were able to recognise and greet their important customers. They could understand what their loyalty patterns were, where they were flying, what they were doing. They could check the impact of any delays. They could rebook passengers before they'd even left the plane. Now that drove up customer satisfaction, but it also meant that BA was able to reduce their turnaround times at the airport, reduce the load on their staff, and save time and resources by exploiting mobile technology, again, for one of the largest airlines in the world. The next story I want to tell you, Canada Rail. Again, a very large traditional enterprise, but they're exploiting the Internet of Things, big data analytics, and more. So they've got rolling stock. Now, if you know anything about logistics, you know that rolling stock is money. Every second it's stopped, you're losing money. So Canada Rail have put sensors on everything, on their rolling stock, on their platforms, their switches, the level crossings, the signals. They know where every single piece of rolling stock is any time of the day. They're able to now optimize the routing, the switching, the prioritization of their rolling stock so they can reduce travel times, they can get their customers' goods to market faster, and they can improve their own profitability. Now, when you think about data processing and traditional large environments, you think of First Data. They are a transaction provider for some of the world's largest banks, insurance companies, credit card providers. You think of mainframes, you think of old world, you think of legacy. But First Data is stepping up with innovation. They're the back end for Google Wallet. So that's providing smartphone payment facilities for Citicorp, for MasterCard, for Sprint, for Macy's, for Walgreens and more. So they're melding their brick and mortar with mobile and e-commerce. And by the way, it's all running in the cloud. Now that's giving First Data access to a mobile payments market which is estimated to be around $670 billion by 2015. And it's also allowing their customers to complete transactions 40% faster so that they can have a competitive advantage over other transaction providers. One of my favorite things is skiing. And I love to go to Vail Resorts. That's actually a picture of me and my wife in the new Vail Resorts Epic Mix application. Now this is a combination of mobile, social, gamification, cloud, Internet of Things. When you go to any one of the 7 Vail Resorts, you get an RFID-equipped lift pass, which gets scanned whenever you go on a lift, whenever you go on a ski run, when you're taking you get an on-slope photograph, when you go to a restaurant, when you go to a hotel. Now, you also earn pins for achievements on mountain. So if you have a certain number of runs, if you have a certain vertical in a day, if it's really cold that day, you get an icy tag, and you can post all of this to social media instantly from your smartphone, even right there on the slope. With photographs, with pins, you compete with your friends, and that drives you to go back to Vail Resorts and beat your friends and get more pins. This has driven hundreds of thousands of positive impressions for Vail Resorts and countless return visits. Now, I promised you 10 stories. Now, that's 5. I'm out of time, so let me quickly give you 5 to look up later. Royal Caribbean, using tablets and smartphones, they're able to speed up boarding and make the booking for activities on board their ships faster, easier, and more enjoyable. NCAR is using the Internet of Things with sensors on cars, windscreen wipers, air conditioners, headlights, ABS, anti-lock, to understand microclimates and micro road conditions. JC Deco is using interactive billboards with QR codes and near-field communication to drive personalization of that experience and engagement for their clients. Zynga is using private and hybrid cloud in revolutionary ways to improve business performance and performance for their games. And the Museum of London, using near-field communications, QR codes and smartphones to drive greater engagement in the museum and outside as well. So with that, I'd like to ask you to look up those case studies on Innovative CIO, the innovativecio.net, go to smartenterpriseexchange.com, and of course go to ca.com/luminaries, and you can see more details of all these stories and more. Thank you very much.